Hello and welcome to this Blender tutorial where I show you how to add decals, stickers, and whatnot to your 3D model when using the Decals rendering engine. Now there's two ways to do it. Both give different results and can be used either separately or together depending on the desired final result. First way places all your decals into one shader. So for example, we have the car here and it has a 78, a Pirelli, and a stripes decals all on the car sharing the car paint shader. Now say somebody placed a paper sticker on the side of this door. Now that would be still on the car, however it would require a different shader to it. So I'm going to be showing you both ways, and let's get started. So here we have 3 decals, 2 of which have an alpha mask for the corresponding alpha mask. Now I will tell you when that plays in and how it plays in as we're setting up the shader in Decals. But for right now we need to create one for the Blender logo. So let's do that. Copy and paste it. Rename to mask. Alright, just gonna drag it into GIMP, and what we are doing is taking the letters in the picture, in this case, turning it black and then turning the background white. Now this is a transparent image, so this way that I'm doing would work perfectly. What you do, not curves, sorry, levels. Take this, drag it over here to the right, click OK, and there you go. You have it black and transparent. So just add a new layer in a white, move it down, and merge down. So there we go. Black and white image. Cancel that. I'm just gonna remove the transparency from it, the alpha channel. Save it, Control S, and we're good to go. There it is. So here's the Blender. Just gonna drag all of these into the UV image editor, one by one. Alright, there we go. Click on the stripes, and we're just going to pin it so this was always visible. So what you got to do now is unwrap this plane that I have. It's just a subdivided plane that I did 8 times, I believe. So add a new UV map. I'm in the object data here. Call it stripes. Click U, unwrap, and there we go. Now it's unwrapped. This is fine for this one, so I'm just going to add a new one. Call it 78. Switch the image to racing number 78. Now what I'm going to do for this one, go in top view here, select face select mode, deselect everything, and then box select these faces right here. So this is what's going to be showing the 78. So I'll just pull up the alpha channel here so you can see the whole image. Scale it up just about like that. So the way it is right now, it will actually tile. So what we got to do, I just did Control I, now invert select. So all of these I'm going to just scale down to 0.1 and move it to the transparent place right here. So this way the 78 doesn't scale across the whole plane. Now if you need an image to scale, don't do this step, but you do the Control I, just leave it there. And you're actually going to have to scale the whole image, not just this part, to fit the 78 if you want to just repeat or tile. I do not, so that's why I did it. Okay, moving on to the Blender logo. not blend. Okay, I spelled that wrong. There we go. Switch this blender. Select everything. Click U. Unwrap. And I think I'll just want it here. So ideally you want to have these decals as squares, so like 50 by 50 pixels, or something higher resolution like 2K by 2K. Otherwise you might have some stretching, which we'll probably get some here. Scale this to fit the image. Alright. Control I to invert selection. I do not want this to repeat. Scale this to about 2.1. Just grab it somewhere in a corner in a transparent area. Okay. We are done with unwrapping. Exit edit mode, and I'll just go into the material button now. No materials applied, so I'm just going to add a new material. It automatically adds a diffuse. So let's render that. Just going to go in camera mode and hit render. Alright, so it's a white background and a gray plane. This is the color of it. So let me just first change the color to like a green. So say something like this. Okay, here we go. For some reason it's lagging a bit. I'm just going to move this here. That's the color of it. There, green. That's all boring. We want decals. So let's add a texture, image texture, and open up first decal. We'll choose the Blender logo since it's already up. So let's do it, and then instead of the green, we'll put the Blender logo on there into color, and let's render that. Yay, Blender! Except now it stretches across the whole image, the whole plane. Now the reason it's doing that is because it's taking the first UV map instead of the Blender UV map. So to fix that, we have a node called the attribute node. Pull that in, connect the vector to vector, and set the name to Blender. There we go. Blender's mapped now correctly to that spot that we defined it to be. Alright, so how would we mix an image with this color right here? So say the background color we want to be green, and then put this decal on it. What you do is do color, mix, drag it right in there, and put this color in the second one, color 2. So right now the factor value is set at 0.5, so that means it takes 50% of this and 50% of this and mix them together. However, we do not want that. What we want is for it to take the transparent areas and make this green, and make the logo in its true colors. That's why we have made the alpha mask, which I will pull up right here. Blender logo, that's 000, that just didn't have Blender doesn't support that long of a name that we named it in Windows. So this now has to go to the factor value and the vector here. There we go. So what it does, let's pull up that alpha image. It takes the blacks and says use this color whenever you see black, and then use this color whenever you see white, and then white this color is the green color, and then this color is whatever the image is, which is the orange and the blue. So we got one mapped. Now let's do the others. here's where you have to remember or set up an order first. So which image do you want to lay on top of what image? So I know what I want to do is put Blender logo on top of the 78, which is going to go on top of the stripes. So that's exactly how I'm going to order it here as well. So I'm going to add a new texture, image texture, and I'm just going to add 4 right away because we have 2 colors and 2 alphas. So I'm just going to duplicate that. This one and this one. Duplicate. Here we go. And we need those attributes as well. So duplicate that. Duplicate that. And let's connect them to the vectors. There we go. And this one. So this one is going to be the stripes. It's going to be all the way at the bottom. And this one's going to be the 78. Okay. So we gotta load the images in here. Stripes. This is the color, and then this is the alpha image. 78. This is the color, and then this is the alpha. Alright, that's set up. So now let's do some mixing. I'm just going to duplicate this mix node, and what I'm going to do is mix the 78 and the Blender first. So again, the way it goes is whatever you want on the bottom stays on the bottom. So, and whatever you want on the top stays on the top. So take the color one from the 78 and place it on the bottom. Take the color one from the Blender texture and put it on the top. And color one spot. Now you want the top image to be Blender, so we take the top image alpha map and plug it into the factor value. Whoops, did not mean to do that. Here. Reconnect that. Okay, there we go. Now, the second thing we need to do is add a math node from the converter, math, and switch this to multiply. What we're multiplying is these 2 alpha textures. Just like that. Now we'll see why in a moment. But here we have. Now, here's the color back. So we take this mix node, which contains both 78 and Blender, and we'll put it into color 1. That's going to be on the top, and then this green color, that's going to be on the bottom. And instead of this being the factor, we take this multiply one to be the factor. And voila! We have a Blender logo on top of the 78 logo, and both of those are on top of the green. So here's what happens with this multiply node. I'm just going to disconnect these two, and just show them what it looks like. And what it looks like is this. That's exactly what this multiply node is now. It's a black combining both Blender and the 78, and then the white just stays white. So what it does is takes the color and mixes them, just like these two did when they were alone, or these two did when they were alone with this color. So I'm basically doing the same thing, it's just I'm adding more textures. So for the third texture, I'm just going to copy these, or Shift D to duplicate. And again, I want this one to be on the bottom, so I'm going to put the color one on the bottom. And this color, both of these were not mixed, so take this and put in the top color. I want the top one, the 78 and the blender to be on top of the stripes. So I will take also the multiply and put it into the factor value. Now, this one multiply is for this mixed with the alpha of this. The reason you gotta do that is because we still want to have a green background color, so we need that all three alpha masks to be mixed. Put it into the factor value. Again, this one goes on top because we want the green to stay on the bottom. And here we go. We have the green followed by the stripes, followed by the 78, followed by blender. So basically the mix node combines all the colors, while the multiply node combines all the alphas. And all I'm doing is, again, just following a simple rule of whatever's on the bottom goes on the bottom, and whatever's on top goes on top with its alpha image, or any alpha mask. So even the multiply contains all of the alpha masks. So there we go. This is the first way. So now say we want this blender logo to be a sticker. Now I could remove this, but since it's sharing the same UV map, I believe it's just going to be overwriting it when I'm going to add a new shader, because this is what we want. If it's a sticker, you know, we need a shader. New shader. So let's pick a glossy shader. Now to mix shaders, well, let me just pick a glossy shader first. Glossy. Actually, we need a more complex one. We need a diffuse as well. Otherwise, it's not going to work. So, Shift A, shader. Mix shader mixes shaders, while mixed colors only mix colors that go into the shader color. So there's a difference between those two. So mix shader, creating a little bit complex one. 0.5 is good. So let's just see this, and this. There. What this looks like instead of all of this junk. It's white. Can't really see it now, but it's actually reflecting. So I'm going to add a cube. That was too far. Okay. And let me turn this down to nothing, black. There's actually a lamp in here. So you see it's actually reflecting a bit. I'll go back and set this factor value to say 0.2, and you'll see that it's reflecting more. So that's what this shader looks like. I could probably even do 0.1. Reflected even more. There we go. Back into camera. Alright, so you can see it reflecting good. Yeah. Still kinda worried that it's not gonna show as well as if I just leave it here. So let's just do that. Alright. So now this mix shader is just mixing these to create a complex shader. So we'll just move this over here on the top. Duplicate the mix shader. Place it in here and here. So as you can see, we have the old textured stuff coming back here, and it's glossy. That's because we're mixing this by this factor value. So what you want to do is leave this as a diffuse and just make this Blender logo a glossy. So I'll just leave this in here, but duplicate it. Grab it over here. Add the color to the diffuse and add the alpha mask to this vector value. So here we go. This is now diffuse. As you can see, no more reflections. However, there is reflection on the blender. So let me pull this back up, get a bit more light. As you can see, it's just reflecting all the ambient gray. If I make it 0.5, it'll bring some of the color back. And that's really it. That's just how you add a sticker, quote unquote, which is actually should be reversed. So let me do this. The sticker should be a diffuse, and then everything else should be a glossy color. Otherwise, it's kind of a contradiction to what I said before when I was giving the example of the car. So there we go. That makes more sense. And now the floor is like a car's body, which is reflective, and you have the sticker here, which is just a plain diffuse color. So if you are making a car and you want to put decals on, this is pretty much your setup here. This is going to be your car shader. Obviously, you're going to have a more complex one than this, but your color, however many color inputs you have, are going to come from this mix node, which mixes all of these decals and your main car color, which I'm just gonna close this out, maximize this so the whole setup could now be seen, and just a little organization here. There we go. Make this nice and clean and a bit easier to view. But yeah, this is pretty much done. This is exactly how you would set up a your decals, or here we have a sticker. Just moving stuff around and making it look pretty. And there we go. This is the whole setup. By the way, this is the output right here, material output, which is only really one strand here. Well, you have everything going in here. So yeah, just to recap, make sure that whatever's going on the bottom is the second color, whatever's going on the top is the first color. And I even arranged it in here so it would be like that, stripes are on the bottom, 78s in the middle, and blenders on top. Well, that's about it. I hope you understood what I was saying, and hope you learned something. And that's it. I'll see you next time.